10 years ago, I had this list in my head. I never dreamt that I'd get to the end of that list. So, I've decided to end my river monsters journey. For nearly 10 years, Jeremy Wade kept millions of viewers glued to their screens with stories of enormous, almost mythical fish lurking in the most remote rivers on Earth. But behind the dramatic captures, heart-racing near misses, and breathtaking expeditions, another story was unfolding, one filled with personal struggles, hidden dangers, and tough choices. What really caused the sudden end of this worldwide hit? What pressures pushed Wade to step back from the very adventure that defined him? After years of silence, Jeremy Wade has finally shared the truth, and what he reveals changes everything. We thought we knew about river monsters. Jeremy Wade's journey to creating river monsters didn't start with TV fame. For nearly 20 years, he worked as a biology teacher while traveling to remote corners of the world, places without modern conveniences where rivers carried both life and legend. Along the way, he spoke to locals, fishermen, and villagers, gathering their stories. Some described fish so massive they could swallow dogs. Others whispered of people pulled under by unseen forces. Many told him of injuries or disappearances that seemed tied to creatures beneath the surface. Wade carefully recorded these accounts, building a vast collection of freshwater mysteries. In 2007, one expedition nearly killed him when he contracted a severe case of malaria. The illness left him bedridden and recovering for months. But in that forced downtime, he began to map out what would become River Monsters. His vision was clear: a show that mixed investigative storytelling, extreme angling, and hostile environments, and the real voices of the people who lived alongside these rivers. His goal wasn't to exaggerate legends, but to treat them as cases to solve scientifically, carefully, and truthfully. On April 5, 2009, River Monsters premiered on Animal Planet. The first episodes, filmed in the Amazon basin, focused on the legendary peributt catfish and the arapama, species long tied to local folklore and blamed for terrifying encounters. WDEs.com. Methodical investigations combined with tense expeditions and authentic cultural perspectives immediately set the show apart. By the end of Season 1, River Monsters had become Animal Planet's top-rated program, averaging more than 1.3 million viewers per episode in the US alone. Unlike other wildlife shows, it balanced suspense with accuracy, earning respect from both scientists and casual viewers. With its second season, the show expanded globally, reaching places as varied as the Congo River in Africa and the icy foothills of the Himalayas. Each new setting offered fresh mysteries and enormous challenges. By 2011, Wade and his crew were filming in even harsher conditions, including Alaska and the Mekong River in Southeast Asia. One standout was the episode on the giant freshwater stingray, Himera calfraya. This massive creature, which can reach 15 feet in length and weigh hundreds of kilograms, required days of effort under punishing heat to capture on film. The result was one of the most dramatic and scientifically valuable episodes in the show's history. As the seasons progressed, expeditions became longer, more remote, and more dangerous. Filming in Guyana's jungles meant navigating days of travel in dugout canoes, hauling heavy gear through brutal terrain, and working under constant weather delays. Each story demanded more time, more risk, more creativity. What once took weeks to film began stretching into 2 months or more per episode. By Season 7 in 2015, some longtime crew members stepped away, citing burnout. Behind the scenes, the strain was mounting even as viewers only saw the polished, gripping results on screen. Behind JeremyWades.com voice and steady hands lay years of grueling sacrifice. He endured malaria in the Congo, a near-crushing blow from a thrashing orama in the Amazon, and even the terrifying shock risk of an electric eel, where one 500-volt jolt underwater could have killed him instantly. On another shoot, disaster nearly struck when a sound crew member was hit by lightning, his legs scorched from the knees down. Wade later called it one of the most sobering moments of the entire series. Long days of up to 14 hours in jungles, freezing rivers, or monsoon rains became the norm. Meals were irregular, sleep came in fragments, and flights between continents left little time to recover before the next expedition. Now in his early 60s, Wade began to feel the limits of endurance creeping in. Crew members, too, felt the weight, with many quietly stepping away after years of punishing schedules. For audiences, the show remained seamless. But behind the camera, fatigue, injuries, and emotional exhaustion were taking their toll. Wade would later admit, "You don't realize how much these things are affecting you until you stop, and by then, something's already changed." By 2015, River Monsters had documented over 100 species across 6 continents. Wade had tracked down nearly every legendary giant freshwater fish imaginable, from monstrous catfish to massive stingrays. But as the seasons went on, the pool of new monsters was shrinking. To keep the show fresh, the crew had to push deeper into smaller, lesser-known rivers, often at great cost and higher risk. Fans began noticing episodes revisiting familiar species, though always with new angles or deeper mysteries. Still, speculation grew. Had Wade run out of monsters to chase? Online discussion suggested the series was nearing its natural end. Wade himself admitted the greatest danger was repeating stories, or worse, inventing drama, and that was something he refused to do. By 2016, Animal Planet itself was changing. Its parent company, Discovery Communications, began steering the channel toward lighter, family-friendly content, shows about pets, veterinarians, and cheerful animal stories. In that environment, river monsters stood out as costly, unpredictable, and dangerous to produce. Some episodes were reported to cost over $500,000, making it one of the most expensive shows on the network. While the show was still popular, executives grew cautious. Expeditions that once excited the network now faced tighter budgets and stricter approvals. Across the TV industry, big adventure documentaries were being scaled back in favor of cheaper, safer, studio-based shows. Wade kept quiet publicly, saying only that it was the right time to end things. But privately, he knew there was much more to the story. The farewell season on April 23, 2017, the final season of River Monsters aired. It opened with Killers from the Abyss and concluded on May 28 with Malaysian Lake Monster. Viewers weren't told it was the end, but many sensed the shift in tone. There was a quiet finality, a reflective mood, running through the season. "End it public," Wade explained. "Some shows can run forever, but our subject matter is finite. 10 years ago, I had a list in my head. Everything has now been ticked off and then some." Fans accepted the explanation, filling social media with heartfelt goodbyes and personal stories of how the series had inspired them. But few realized there were deeper hidden reasons behind its closure. Years later, Wade finally revealed the truth. It wasn't just that there were no monsters left, it was that the rivers themselves were changing fast. When he returned off camera to some of his earliest filming locations, he found devastation. Rivers once teeming with life, now polluted, murky, and barren. The very species he had once documented were gone, wiped out by pollution, overfishing, and dam construction. There were also serious safety concerns for the crew. Increasingly unstable regions brought political unrest and dangerous conditions, risks the network couldn't ignore. Insurance providers quietly warned that future seasons might not even be approved. Even more troubling for Wade was the ethical weight. He worried that spotlighting rare or endangered species might unintentionally encourage poaching, and he began to feel uneasy that the show's thrilling image of rivers might distract from the urgent truth. These waters were disappearing. Ending the series was his way of stepping back before it sent the wrong message. After River Monsters, Wade shifted his focus. In 2018, he launched Mighty Rivers, which looked not for monsters, but for answers. Why were iconic rivers like the Ganges, Amazon, Mississippi, and Yangtze in decline? Each episode investigated pollution, overfishing, and habitat destruction, turning Wade into an investigator of ecosystems rather than individual species. In 2019, he followed with Dark Waters, diving into overlooked ecological threats, invasive species, and sudden collapses. The thrill of mystery was still there, but the stakes had changed. The monsters were no longer giant fish, they were industrial waste, collapsing food chains, and shrinking habitats. Through it all, Jeremy Wade remained the calm, thoughtful guide viewers trusted. Only now, his mission wasn't just to chase legends, it was to save what remained.